products that aren't marketed die.
Interesting you say Drupal's changed its name. We're actually going to have two different projects now. You've got Drupal Core and Drupal CMS.
We will get to a point where I can build a site, I can press one button, and I can just give it over to you, Bevan, and you can just run it.
Welcome to the Code and Character podcast. I'm Bevan. This is Ivan.
Hey, how you doing?
And let's have a chat about the new Starshot Initiative. For relatively new, was it 4 months into the Drupal Starshot Initiative / Drupal CMS?
Yes, we are, as we say, we move very quick on these, new things that get announced. But yes, the Starshot Initiative was announced a couple of months ago, and in DrupalCon Barcelona, Drupal got officially a new name, which was to be expected, Drupal CMS. So Now, what are your thoughts on this whole Starshot Initiative, Bevan? Because I have some opinions. A lot of people have opinions about it, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
I've got lots of different opinions about different aspects. I love the initiative. I love the idea of targeting Drupal at what they call it, ambitious site builders and marketers. I think that's long overdue. Interestingly, I think that was kind of where Dries always wanted to take Drupal, but the community took it down a very Drupal developer-centric path. But no, that my main opinion is I think it's a fantastic initiative. Some of the details are a little bit. We can get into those. Interesting, you say Drupal's changed its name. Now that's not exactly how I understand it. That we're actually going to have two different projects now. You've got Drupal Core and Drupal CMS. Whereas Drupal Core is going to remain pretty much the same as it is. I mean, obviously we'll get new features and things, but Drupal CMS is the pre-packaged install with certain recipes pre-configured.
Well, that's it. Yeah. That's my understanding. But I think, I'm planning to go through whole of the WebWash site and do a find and replace Drupal to Drupal CMS. Because when you think about it, the end user should know it as Drupal CMS. I don't know if Drupal Core will get a name, but I remember there being discussions years ago about small core and actually having a similar setup like this, where you have small core as kind of like a framework, because, Drupal's always had this problem. Is it a product? Is it a framework? And we've discussed this many times before. It doesn't know. But I think now it's starting to understand, we are starting to understand it as a community. Okay, Drupal CMS is the product, which Drupal needs. I've often harped on about this, that Drupal needs some type of product. You don't want to install a module and then have to spend the next 3 hours learning a whole new framework essentially within the module. And so my understanding is Drupal CMS will be a collection of just Drupal components and modules, and a recipes, which is config version 2, or I would say installation profile.
You might want to explain what recipes are in a minute. So I don't fully have my head around recipes. I've got them in a general conceptual idea.
Yep.
It's a package of configuration and lists of modules and how they should be configured, and perhaps some default content. And I assume there's some kind of YAML file that just kind of defines what all that is.
Of course. There's a YAML file that sorts out all of your life's problems.
Yeah. So recipes, a YAML file that says this is how I want my Drupal configured.
Yes. So the thing is, recipes is part of the initiative. Now, the Drupal Starshot Initiative is massive. It covers a whole bunch of stuff.
12 tracks or something.
But it's kind of like a new version of installation profiles or distributions. And Dries, who founded the Drupal project, talked about distributions a very, very long time, probably 2000 and something, in the noughties essentially. And I don't think installation profiles ended up being what they were meant to be, where you can just create reusable or just packaged Drupal sites, because of just the nature of maintaining them. and
what do we
updating
end
them
up?
and pushing changes downstream. Now, in Drupal 8, we got config management, which was great, but still you have issues with managing dependencies. And this is just a hard problem to solve. So recipes has come along to kind of now, the way I see it, recipes is like a new version of like config, like the next level up. We've learned a lot. And I really want to play around with recipes, and I am hoping that we will get to a point where I can build a site, I can press one button, it generates a whole recipes with test data, and I can just give it over to you, Bevan, and you can just run it and install it on a site, and it just works. Now, you cannot do that with other systems right now. You can in a certain way, but this is the plan of recipes. And then the whole thing is that you can then select certain components. And I've now started to see other agencies ship recipes through Packagist. So you can install it through Composer. And it doesn't have a dependency on Drupal because itself, I think it's just a YAML file. And so, yeah, this agency had just very specific functionality. So think of it as, yes, you can use recipes to build out a whole site. But I'm starting to see recipes where people are just adding in little bits of functionality as well, which is very interesting.
Micro recipes.
Well, let's say you have a pre-existing site. Okay, you have a built site. Now, if you want to just have some bit of functionality on it, you don't want to have to rebuild your whole site for it, because with installation profiles take over the whole thing. So that's what recipes is there for.
So interesting to talk about installation profiles, because I recently set up my own Bevan's Bench website, and at one point go, hey, I want to put a payment gateway on there. It's been 15 years since I used Drupal Commerce, but hey, I'll go install the Drupal Commerce module, and it's all kind of intended to be in the Commerce installation profile, right? Suddenly there's all this manual stuff you got to do, because it seems Drupal Commerce seems to want to be an installation profile rather than a distribution, right? Rather than a module that you can install and configure. And so recently, it's like when I was thinking about recipes, it was one of the first use cases I thought of. It's like, hey, awesome, I want to set up a payment gateway or something. And then I jumped into the Slack and mentioned it to the commerce guys, and they go, oh, we don't think recipes are suitable for this. And you're like, it was the first.
That was the first thing. Yeah,
I don't.
That would be amazing.
And that happens a lot, though. You go in there, you talk to people, and they say things, and you go, I don't know. You think differently than I do. I would have thought that was a perfect use case, but then I find that communication with a lot of people in the community, because there's on that point of the communication, because if Starshot, I've been looking at a lot, and I've been interested in theming, because I'm trying to build a Drupal site builders course, which I've now put on delay because Drupal CMS is coming. Aiming at Drupal CMS, it's not out yet. Check what's going on and prepare to do that. And when I put myself in the shoes of a student who's never used Drupal before, wants to set up a site, for example, an events site where they can run events, one of the first things they're going to want to know is, how do I make it look pretty?
Yes.
And I'm like, I look at the whole Starshot track, and I go, there's no themes. There's no theme track. There's Experience Builder, which is fantastic. So I've had a few conversations about that, and people have gone, but we're going to use single directory components. We're going to use components to do it. You'll be able to tweak it in Experience Builder. I'm like, how does putting a component in solve the theming problem? I don't know. And then the other one was, someone mentioned that there's talk of integrating like a theme builder component into the Experience Builder. Not a component exactly, but so you can change fonts and colors and stuff through Experience Builder. And that'd be really interesting. But I just go, I don't completely have my head around it, right? I've been working with HTML and stuff for years, went through font tags, CSS, applied that, Drupal, we got themes. And now when I get people telling me, yeah, but we're just going to use components, so it doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, but how does that answer the question of a new site builder goes, I want to apply a different theme just across the board. I don't quite understand that. And I bring that up because that's why you go into Slack. Sometimes you ask questions and they go, we'll solve that with this thing. And you're like, I don't see how that solves the problem, but okay.
Yeah.
Like it's, so I don't know what's happening with theming because I just don't get it. Right. It's all this whiz bang wonderful. You can set up an events website in Bartik.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Right. Everyone's events website will look exactly the same. Like that. So you can change, like you move things around and change
people
it around.
People have moved on, man. You're showing your age.
It's still the core. What? Olivero or something?
Yeah. Olivier is the core one. Well,
Olivier.
I don't, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. It just sounds very posh.
Yeah, but that's my one take on Starshot because it's fantastic. But that's my one question. It's not a criticism. It's I don't get it.
Well, I think, okay, well, to answer, let's go through and actually specify. Like, I've got the Starshot Initiative page opened up.
Yeah.
And I can see headings here. Okay, so this is a lot of what it's trying to cover. And I can see that it is automatic updates, which is important, I think. Drupal Starshot UX. This is, but then we have Experience Builder, which is like Layout Builder version 2, which is interesting because I feel like every single open source platform now, like WordPress, they're all building their own page builders. And
interesting, just not mentioning WordPress. I know when Dries did his talk at Barcelona, he kept talking about competitive CMSs and stuff the whole time, and you could just hear he's not saying WordPress.
Yeah,
but that seems to me. I think that all the fancy speak for explaining what Starshot is for aiming at marketers and site builders and make it easy for the end user. The answer is we want to compete with WordPress. Like it's fancy speak for that. Well, I think.
Then we have we have automatic updates. Now, somebody might go in the comments and say, Ivan, totally wrong. It's Starshot is this, and this, and this.
Yep.
Automatic updates, Experience Builder, Project Browser, which is essentially kind of tied into, I would say it's, automatic updates and Project Builder are very similar because you want to be able to search for modules in the UI of Drupal and then just click and download and have it updated automatically without having to deal with Composer and dependencies and all that stuff. Then you have recipes. And then on top of that, you have the trial experience, which I think is more of just to make it easy for people to spin up test environments. And then also there is a discussion about like marketing and things like that. So the initiative is really, it's full on. It's a big change. And Dries did mention that it's a massive change. It is big. It is absolutely big. But then when you stand back from it and take a look at it, it's like, well, wait a minute. These are just a bunch of smaller initiatives kind of marketed well together. And that's what I think that's what I think we need. When this initiative came out, a lot of people were like, well, it's not new. Like there's no new product. It's just marketing. But that's it. Products that aren't marketed die, okay? If you have a crappy, and this is one thing I've learned, no one cares about the tech. If something's marketed well, then, well, how can I say it? It's easy to sell. When I say sell, I mean just promote a product which has terrible tech but great marketing. But you will never be able to sell a product that has great tech but terrible marketing. And that's a problem with developers, especially open source ones. They're focused on the development side, but they don't focus on the marketing side. And I think this comes back to our, we need to have a new ding now whenever we talk about content creation with you and I. Before it was not talking about Drupal, now it's all about content creation. But you learn that. But when you do content, when you do content creation, it's all about, it's like I used to write long form tutorials and then nothing. There'll be crickets once I posted because I didn't market it. I didn't promote it. And the tutorial is kind of like the product here, where you need to promote it. And Drupal needs this. And I do believe now there's a lot of inertia with Drupal. There's a lot of push, especially with the AI stuff that was also demoed at DrupalCon Barcelona. And I do think that with also the, maybe you want to start talking about your WordPress stuff, with the stuff that's happening in the WordPress community, which I do kind of laugh about, well, not about what's happening, but I often see comments in LinkedIn saying, oh, you know, people should just move from WordPress to Drupal. It's like, yeah, I think, you know, WordPress and Drupal are still two very different things. At this point, you're not going to have a person that has a small business on WordPress, which is, you know, they're happily paying, you know, a certain amount for hosting and plugins, and then all of a sudden be like, you know what, I'm going to learn Drupal and move it over to Drupal. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, not yet. And then, you know, Starshot.
WordPress has a massive platform. People just don't.
No, I
understand just how
you say, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. Because one thing there is, what Starshot promises is a competitor to WordPress. It's going to be easy. You just come along, click a button, spin it up. Great. Woohoo. Look, it's going to be version Drupal 1.0. We're going to have Drupal CMS 1.0. It's going to have bugs. As soon as you throw real users at it, they're going to ask questions like, how do I change the theme?
Yeah.
You know, and then things are going to go haywire. It's funny with you bring up the WordPress stuff. There is a lot of people going, hey, maybe it's Drupal's time. And I kind of make that argument, but I only make that argument as a Drupal person because it's not. The timings are awful. By the time January comes around, everyone would have forgotten about.
I know. And that's it. It's like, well, it's going to be like, you know, what is it? Linux on the desktop. This is the year that, you know,
this is the year.
I remember listening to, what was it? Lug Radio podcast.
This is the year.
In like 2007, talking about Ubuntu 8.04 or something. This is the year of the desktop for Linux.
Yeah.
Now, you know, Drupal has, let's all, you know, if you look at Drupal stats, the stats have been going down, and there's many reasons for that because of the market's change. There's a lot more ways to build websites. I don't think Drupal's dead. I'm personally excited.
It's still gone up in their niche market.
Yes,
like in that enterprise space.
Trust me,
it's gone up. But
exactly, there's still, you can do amazing things with Drupal. I don't think it's dead. I just think, you know, the market's more diversified. And as much as everyone wants to bang on about, you know, WordPress is dead, WordPress is this, it's going to be fine. Honestly, I think everyone's going to get over it. It's just the whole, you know, things get talked about. They're going to set, I think WP Engine wants to take them to court or something. They're going to settle. But, you know, it's going to, eventually it's just going to fizzle out. And we can't just be like, oh, you know, we're going to steal market share because the other communities, you know, in flames. We need to innovate. And I do think all of this stuff is important. I want to get to a point where I can simply press a button and say, I want a Drupal site that has community functionality, where I can sell access to courses. And this is something I'm trying to figure out. I've been pulling my hair out. Well, you can kind of see the lack of it, because I want to now, you know, try and monetize the WebWash stuff that I'm doing. And I've been thinking, okay, I need to set up some type of community somewhere on a platform. Do I build it myself? I don't want to do that. Do I want to pay $50 a month or $100 a month?
Yeah, another
using a third-party service. No, I don't want to spend that much because it may not last. Do I want to use WordPress? Well, then I look at WordPress and I'm like, I could do that, but then by the time I buy all the plugins, I'm spending $1,000. So I might as well go with the hosted solution because, and it's like, I'm kind of like, you know, in a pickle right now, trying to figure out, because I'm procrastinating on it. And then so many times I'm thinking, Drupal can do this, but then everything is easy and I could do it in a weekend, but the payments, there is no decent payment system. Now, of course, somebody's going to say, oh, there's Drupal Commerce. Yes, there is. But I don't want to have to deal with, you know, spending weeks and weeks of setting that stuff up for subscriptions and things like that. So
I've got a video that I did about setting up payment gateways on Drupal, like just exploring, going, hey, I want to set up PayPal on Drupal. And it's gone, there goes a few days of just going, why doesn't it just work out of it? Like it's, you know.
And, you know, I would love to be able to install Drupal, select my components, download or spin it up on a hosting platform and not spend, $200 a month on hosting as well. Now, if I can do that in the future, that'll be great. But we'll just have to wait and see how all this goes.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I'm interested. The trial experience looks really promising. As a track, but then they're using WebAssembly to run it in the browser. And I'm not sure, but you can infer that you can't run binaries in WebAssembly. So how do you run Composer? So how does Project Browser work? Now, if anybody can answer the question, Project Browser is going to work fine. You'll be able to install modules into your browser. If you can't install modules in your browser in the trial experience, then it's only got 50% of its value. Because again, I'm still coming from that sense of wanting to build a course so students can run it. Be great. Hey, spin it up in your browser. We'll go do this. But if you can't install a module, can't do the course, because that's as a site builder.
Give it a test. Well, give it a test.
Well, I've played with it. It's not quite ready yet. I don't want to judge it for falling over when it's.
Well, I think it's.
But there are other people setting up other things. But there's. There's the Drupal Forge. I did it in the Drupal News. I might as well say it. Drupal Forge, where they use DevPanel, which DevPanel's like a technology that I thought it was a hosting company, but it's not. It's a product that allows you to. It's like a web interface to all the different clouds. So when they set up they can do like a Drupal recipe, and then you just put that as a widget on your website, and you press it, and it'll spin up Drupal in whatever cloud infrastructure it's configured to.
Interesting.
So you can build. That's why we're not DevPanel. But anyway,
we're not sponsored by.
No. I'm just trying to explain the difference between.
I'm just having a look. It's $1,000 a month. Oof, it's pricey.
Yeah, but DevPanel's sponsoring the Drupal Forge thing, right? So DevPanel's going.
So they're offering it for free. Drupal Forge.
Let's go and check out Drupal Forge. But just because it spins up a real Drupal in a real hosted environment. That it's not locked into. I just wanted to bring that up because then you can use Project Browser. Now, I don't know if the trial experience can, but
why do I not know about? I don't want to sound arrogant, but
because you don't watch my news video.
Well, that is true. Because hey, man, I spend enough time chatting to you. So, when was this released? Was it recently?
A couple of months ago.
So this is just. Simply test.me.
I came across it on the Drupal/news. There was a news post about it.
Is simply test.me still running?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
it is.
It is.
And then there's Drupal Pod.
Pod. Oh yeah, Drupal Pod I use for Gitpod because that I've used many times in the past.
Yeah.
Because it's
but that's why Sorry, go on.
Well, no, because the thing is though, you have control. I feel like you have way more control of the Drupal pod environments because you can spin them up and down. But yeah, Forge. Oh, you know what? I might have a play with it. And I
think it looks really cool. And so they're pushing to get themselves onto the Starshot track, but I don't know all the details. People are pushing that in-browser trial experience, which I think it's cool. It's cool, hey, install Drupal in your browser so you can spin it up and have a play around. But I think it's got its limitations. I don't know. They're pretty smart people, whether they've worked out how to install a module in it. But I'm sure you don't have access to the Composer binary, right?
That would be one of the first things. I personally love these whole things where you can spin up test sites because there's a few WordPress ones. And I've used them to actually write tutorials because sometimes I just need to spin up a WordPress site and install a few plugins, and I'm doing a video. And so I would love to be able to sit down one afternoon and be like, all right, I need to quickly, push out a short form piece of content, which my life revolves around, which you're probably fully aware of as well. And instead of spending, 10 minutes or 5 minutes setting up Composer and this and that, I want to press a button, set up Drupal, jump in, do a quick video, and then that's it. I don't care about the site. So I do
and then
see
kill it again.
there being huge benefit in just spinning things up. And so many times when I'm in meetings, people are like, oh, does this module do this? And it's like, well, I don't know. And you want to have just a clean environment to spin up and test things out. And that's kind of like
great for dev too. When I've got this bug on this highly customized site,
and it's like, is it a bug with the product? Is it a bug with the module, or is it a bug with your site? Because so many times I've seen modules fail because there's a bug on the actual site. Some developers customize some hook and broken something. So like there's value in it. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really excited for did you see the AI demo was mind blowing?
That was pretty good.
You know, it's also Dries gets the end of it and goes, does this all work? Yes, it does. And you go, cool. And you go and check it and you go, no, it doesn't. Does it, you know, like, does this work? The trial works. I go spin up the trial and it just goes, nah, couldn't install. Then it worked a few days later. But, you know, it's still beta and alpha. So don't be, you know.
Exactly.
That's why, does it all work? Yeah, it does today, not tomorrow. Right? That's how things go. But I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it release in January. I mean, they haven't pushed it out again. That I've heard. 25th of January. Drupal CMS 1.0.
Oh, here it's got the 15th.
Okay, well that's my numbers. That's why I use computers so they can count for me. 15th.
Well, that's what it says.
Right?
That's what it says here on
the Starshot. No, it is the 15th.
The 15th.
So they're like, that's around the corner.
Oh yeah, it's going to come pretty quick. I always tell people that around this time of year, as soon as December comes, that's it. Like I feel like December, January is all just a blur, because once December comes, it's like Christmas, and you know you kind of get in that, and then you kind of have a holiday. So really, of the year, there's only one more month of the year left, which is November, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then it's sliding into it.
So I wonder what happens when this releases, because I think everyone's going to be really looking forward to it. They're going to release it. They go, yay, Drupal 1.0, woohoo!
And then it's get back to fixing up your existing Drupal sites and the composer issues and all that type of stuff. I know. Everyone's going to have a release party. It's going to be marketed well, which is great. And then it's like, okay, so now I need to upgrade a Drupal 10 site to 11. Run composer
and it's not
update.
Like suddenly, it's not like there's going to be a queue of new Drupalers lining up to go, yeah, we're ready for this new Drupal 1.0. That's
why, Bevan.
It's still the very beginning,
us, man. Content creators to promote it. This is one thing. I actually
doing our bit.
I did. What was it? Before the world turned to, what is it? Drupal Camp Hobart. When was that? 2019. Yeah, before the Great Reset, before the everything happened to the world.
That's the last Drupal South.
Oh no, there were actually bushfires. So things started to I remember flying out of Hobart, beautiful weather, flying into Newcastle. It was smoggy as. It's like, oh, okay, that's right. There's still bushfires, and that's when
it was cold in Hobart.
It was. And I did an actual presentation about how to blog and how to write content. And my focus was mostly on tutorials and things like that. But we need people, and I hate to say it, but we need influencers. I kind of feel dirty saying that, but not influencers, but we need people to talk about this stuff and produce content. And, you and I contribute to the Drupal community in this way. Like, yes, we can write code, but I don't have the time for it. I'd rather contribute to other things.
I don't.
Exactly.
I've written enough code.
But that's why it's like once Drupal comes out, we talk about it, we promote it, we show people how to use it.
There is that marketing track, but that's kind of, it's weird. It's sort of, do I want to put my hand up for the marketing track? And it's like, no, I like my freedom to be able to just do whatever the bloody hell I choose.
Well, yeah, that's the same thing with me. I'd rather, because one thing I've learned is when you do content creation, you don't want to talk about things you don't want to, in a way.
And then even in this, it's giving our opinions. Look, I think this is an issue. I think this is an issue. If I'm on the marketing team, do a marketing video, it's all, it's beautiful, right? It's kind of, that sort of thing. The
Yeah,
freedom to be able
exactly.
to just
I want what is it?
commentate.
Freedom of opinion. I want to be able to say, look, this Starshot initiative is a great idea. Is it going to work?
Yep.
We don't know. And
Don't know.
you know, is the experience builder, because I feel like every agent, no, not every agency, but like every open source platform is creating their own page builder. Why do we have so many page builders? You know, and I feel like layout builder I don't think it's, I want to choose my words wisely here, but I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like it didn't reach its potential. And all of a sudden it's like, all right, there's a new experience builder. Now, is the community building the experience builder so that it is better than the layout builder? I don't know. But I still, you know, everyone was talking about how, layout builder is going to, get rid of paragraphs. No, I still prefer paragraphs because it just
I ended
works.
up using both of them in concert.
Oh yeah, and you do use both. You use paragraphs for the components on the page, on the actual node or content types, but then you use layout builder to control everything else. Block. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you use both, but I don't think it saw its full potential. So I'd love it if I'm proved wrong and Experience Builder is the greatest page builder, and then we can build awesome websites using that. I would absolutely love that. But we'll just wait and see.
I think both of us have a very high level overview of all of it. No real fine grain on any particular track, right? That's because I'll say I assume that they took what they learned from building layout builder and seeing what was wrong with it, and are applying that to the new experience builder. Absolutely. But it also looks like a reinvention too, which then you're just going to create a bunch of other problems that you haven't thought of because you didn't just tweak it, you invented a new one. And I think Starshot's going to be riddled with all these unexpected things, right? And that's kind of, I don't know if that'll feel like there's a bit of a culture of don't be negative, but it's like, well, that's just a reality. It's going to be version 1.0. There's going to be things you don't expect. Drupal 8 was a bit like that, right? It is fantastic. It was amazing. It was really great. First time I went to use it, it's like, doesn't do this stuff I was expecting it to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I'm it's gonna be what, 2 or 3 years, we'll see.
Well,
I think
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how long it's going to take for it to pick up?
And then the way AI is going, I mean, this has got the AI feature looks really fantastic.
Yeah.
Just the way you could open up a little AI chatbot on a page and go add a new field, create a new content type, rename it.
Yeah.
But then what about config management? How do end users manage config when you export? I've always wondered how people manage because you've got to export your config, push it to Git, push that up to your CI. Any website I've worked on's had that whole deployment strategy, and then they go, no, we're just going to click a button, and then you click here, click there, cool, you got a website, and you go, yeah, and where's your version control and your backups? And I'm not sure how that's going to factor in, or if it just doesn't, like that kind of user just doesn't have those processes.
Maybe. Who knows?
And we're developers, right? We do those things because they're developer tools. So wait and see.
Yeah, I guess that's.
I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe in a future video we'll look at a few of the smaller initiatives within it in more detail once they start. Once they start coming out, I think I've played around with Project Browser. I remember playing around with it, and it was pretty cool. Like you just downloaded a module and it worked. Same as like WordPress. That's it, and that's what you want sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how it all.
Wait and see,
and then bring on 2025. All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, let's leave it at that.
Awesome.
All right. We'll see you all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.